Welcome back to Living Well, the last in this series. And on this super hot night here in London, I am hoping that some of you can join me. So I'm joined tonight by Sophie Beresiner, who is a very accomplished beauty journalist who I met many years ago when she was beauty director at Elle magazine. And she has gone on to do many things since then.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
Oh, a little bit hot and frizzy. Thanks very much. How are you?
So hot in here.
Smoking.
I've just come into what I think is the hottest room in my whole house, and I didn't think this through.
Yeah, I mean, we want it, and then when we have it, it's like,
I
how
know.
do I cope? How do I function
I
here?
know. Water
I
with
was
ice.
I was just thinking, I mean, how long ago I met you was back in the day. I think you were beauty director at Elle,
Yeah.
and we've had like little bits of contact, but I mean, you have done so much in those years. My goodness, you're an accomplished writer with, I think, 2 books under your belt now. Is that right?
Right. Two
Um,
books.
anything brewing at the moment? Are you got anything on the boil?
I'm fresh back off my second maternity leave, so and I'm plunging into the world of freelance journalism.
Exciting.
And creative strategy and content creation. So it's all, I think I'm putting all of the things that I've learned over the years and combining my experience and then seeing what I can do with it.
Amazing. Because
Basic.
you did some fashion as well as beauty at Bureau, isn't that
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Bureau is an editorial platform, a global editorial
Yep.
platform. I think it's when the world went digital and I was working on a print magazine, I really kind of lent into that side of the industry, and I love both. I find it so, I mean, we can do this kind of thing in the digital world. It's so great. Um, and then I kind of fell into digital and content strategy that way. I went on to work for Liberty,
Yeah.
amazing place.
Love
That was a
Liberty.
great
Mm.
experience. And now I wouldn't say slowing down is right. I don't know yet. I've only been doing this freelance bit for a few weeks. So let's see how it goes.
I've caught you at a really interesting time then. So, I mean, you have two little girls now, so your life, I imagine, is very full. Do you even have time to think about wellness, Sophie, or is that an illusion? Like just brushing your teeth and your hair is an accomplishment?
It's a very good question, but I think because of my job and my previous experience with beauty, personally and professionally, I really appreciate the power of beauty and the beauty industry and how it makes you feel. So I
Yes.
think I learned myself, not only writing about it and researching it, but I really learned how joyful it can be, and therefore I think it's really important. So I count beauty in the wellness space, and I absolutely try and make time for it if I can. I'll go and do the school run and I'll be the one who turns up with my hair not done. I'm not one of those, but I will definitely just
Those
tongue front
immaculate
it.
mums that
Just
perhaps it's
so I
five
look a little
printing.
bit more put together, because if I feel good, then if I feel that I look better, then I feel better, if that makes sense.
The competency thing, I think, as
Yeah.
well. If we project put together on the outside, somehow,
Yeah. But I do also feel really guilty. This morning, I ran into a nursery mum who I got to know recently, and I was on my way into town because I had a couple of meetings. So
Oh, you were polished
I
and
did it.
put
I got up
together.
extra early, which does not sit very well with me. And I polished and I put on my nice outfit, and she was like, "Oh, you look so clean. You look so fresh." And I just felt like I had to apologize for it, which is
Oh,
something that we do quite often as women, especially working mothers.
yeah, yeah. I know, I hear you. Well, that's probably just showing empathy that she was clearly a little discombobulated by your being immaculate.
Wow.
So if you had like time for three things in the morning to make you feel like you have got your
Yeah.
shit together, what three things are those things? No, we're assuming you've washed your face and brushed your teeth.
Yeah.
Like, what are the three necessary things that will allow you to get out there and not
Coffee.
think too much about?
Just coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, or school runs. So what do you prioritize?
I think the first thing I do is, you'll like this one, SPF, because I love that. I've embraced SPF recently because my skin is not, it's not
You're getting a thumbs up in a bubble. I've never seen this before.
that
Well,
is
is this a
an
new
important
feature?
one.
I like
Yeah.
this though.
It's because I like the glow that it gives my
Yeah.
skin. I don't know if this has come from my skin maturing, but I do always use, or the range of SPF is so much better.
I think
But
that's it.
I'll put a moisturizing SPF on top of my moisturizer because I think my skin just needs a bit more hydration
Yeah.
now that I'm going to be 45 this year. So, I
Doing
need a little
very
bit extra.
well, I might say.
Thank you. But I think even all through the year, in the summer, right, today I probably didn't need an extra glow, but I just think that it makes me feel a bit more perky. I just like the glow that it gives my skin, especially a tinted one.
Amen. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that is really the route to go for anybody who's reluctant to make it into their daily habits. They
Mhm.
think, oh, sunscreen, if you can do the tint and then a bit of concealer and that gets you out the door, amazing. But even as a base for makeup, I just find
Yeah.
it's like, it means you use a bit less foundation. It's all a little bit more light touch, just where you need it.
I have to say that your SPF really sort of helps to change my relationship with it because even as a beauty professional, I need non-comedogenic SPF. I don't like my skin to feel clogged, and I would really notice the difference the next morning if I wore it. And on holiday, I'd have to exfoliate with enzymes that day. So I'm really scared of that, even non-comedogenic, to be honest. But I think because I know you and I know your voice and I know your expertise, when you're telling me this is going to help clear your skin, I trust you, and
Oh.
it really, I don't know, my skin loves it. So thank you.
It's
I
so nice to hear because there is so much SPF
Mhm.
fear in the blemish prone skin community. And I mean, I, for one, when I go on holidays, that is my biggest concern that the reapplication in a hot, sticky, humid environment, maybe you're a little more sugar than usual. Blemishes is definitely the thing I'm
Yeah.
afraid of in summer. But I do find that, particularly with the Flawless Oily sunscreen, that little bit of niacinamide just seems to tip the
Mhm.
balance in your favor to keep things controlled. So,
And that's I went
I'm sure
off
it.
piece, but my other two things would definitely be a tubing mascara to just open my eyes, and
Black or brown? What color do you wear as a
always black.
black?
I feel that I need a bit more drama. And then, like I said, I will tone just the front section of my hair. That's all I've done.
Yes.
This is everything else is just natural,
I
but
think
just
we're on the same beauty plan. That's pretty much all I did. I let my back air dry last night because I had my hair cut a bit recently.
yeah,
But I think, as you say, the fronts of the bit, if they're together, the rest is
exactly. And
natural.
that I can do all of that in literally 2 minutes, so it helps my nursery run.
How are your dark circles then? Not bad by the sound of things.
I have some concealer on. I mean, I don't suffer too badly, but yes, they're there. They're
Hmm.
definitely there.
How many hours of sleep were you getting?
It's actually not bad now because my youngest daughter is 1 and she is sleeping quite well in the other room.
Okay,
So
amazing.
I actually have cats who wake me up more. So I get
Are yours not like kept in a cat room? I will not allow mine. They'd have me up at 4. I mean,
we tried that for the first maybe 10 years of their life, and then it worked. And then I felt bad for them when babies came. So
oh,
I let them in.
really? Oh my God. Mine have almost dug a hole in the door from
Yeah.
the inside. It's like the Shawshank Redemption. One day, Hector is going to break through. I know it. Yeah, no, we're not there yet. I value my sleep way too much now. I'm not a good sleeper. Do you sleep well? Are you like
I've
a night
started to take
sleeper?
magnesium supplements, which are really helping. I take Wild Nutrition magnesium, and I find it's not like it doesn't make me sleepy, but I feel like once I've fallen asleep, I
I
sleep
stay
better.
better. And is it threonate or glycinate? Do you know what type of magnesium it is?
I'm not
No.
exactly sure. It's the
So
Wild Nutrition.
I'm a bit obsessed with
Mhm.
supplements for sleep. So I was reading in the paper in the Times actually on the weekend, 2 kiwi fruit before bed
Oh,
meant to help.
golden ones. Even
I love a golden kiwi from Zap. I get them on the ridiculous fruit, but it's so delicious. So kiwi fruits, a handful of almonds is good because then you balance the sugar and you get your B vitamins as
better.
well, and that can also be quite calming. Um, yeah, so kiwis contain melatonin, as
Oh,
does
okay, yeah.
cherry juice. So you get your B vitamins, you get a bit of
Mhm.
magnesium from the almonds, and then you have your kiwis. Quite a nice snack.
Great. That's a great tip.
She says, clutching at straws to help calm a busy brain. That leads us on to supplements, though. So, are you a supplement girly, or do you try and get your nutrition from food as much as possible?
I'm a bit of both. I think I'll do really well with my diet and my wellness, but having kids does
For
throw that
sure.
off because you have it's more about convenience, and also just snacking on what they snack on, which is never great. But so I feel like I can feel when my body needs a bit of extra
Hmm.
help, and then I'll dive into the supplements. So now I'm on a kind of, I try and maintain what I've got going on at the moment. I've tried so many different things, um, but I'm quite into wild nutrition at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
And also, it's as you age, my body needs different things, and I've
No, for
recovered from
sure.
illness and all sorts of things. So I feel like I don't know, I just need a bit more balance, hormonal.
Mm. I think also I went to see a functional medicine doctor about 6 months ago. I mean, I'm on quite a lot of supplements for stomach issues.
Mhm.
And I think the whole process of just checking in and doing that bit of maintenance, not
Mhm.
waiting, for stuff to happen that's easily
Mhm.
avoidable in terms of nutrition, it just makes sense, I
Yeah.
think. And doing blood tests to make it as scientific as possible where
Yes.
needed. I mean, I was taking vitamin D supplements reliably using a spray. It turns out I wasn't absorbing properly, so I've gone on to tablets now. So if I hadn't measured it, I wouldn't know. I'd be kind of blissfully unaware, running on low vitamin D, which is not a good idea.
Mhm.
So
Especially in this.
no, no, exactly. Well, and also with my habits, right? We're talking about I practically sleep in a coffin. um, so apart from beauty, skincare, etc., what else do you rely on? Do you have any other wellness habits that you make time for no matter what?
I've actually very recently, I've tried to do mindfulness for many, many years because I actually suffer from an anxiety disorder.
Do you?
So,
I didn't
and
know that.
I mean, I think most people wouldn't know it and probably would find it quite surprising because my job has meant I've had to do public speaking and I have to be very kind of public facing a lot of
Extrovert
the time.
seeming. Hmm.
And for me, it's not. It's really physical. It's not like I fear when I'm having a panic attack. My husband says, "What's the matter? What are you worried about?" And I'm like, "It's not a tangible thing. It's like a chemical in my brain has just gone and then I get this adrenaline dump, and it's all a bit stressful." So I did lots of CBT for that, which did help.
Hmm.
And the main thing I've always been told is to try mindfulness, embrace mindfulness. I find it so difficult. Every type of meditation I find really hard, but I'm quite getting into immersive meditation,
Ooh,
and I'm
tell
trying
me.
to explore that a bit more. So I was lucky enough to try out the Apple Vision Pro. Have you tried it yet?
No.
This is not an ad, I promise. It's so amazing. It's spatial computing. So it's about kind of virtual reality and AR and spatial computing as a whole. I mean, this will take a lot longer than the time slot we have to explain it. But you can have mindfulness apps on your phone that help you to breathe by, using an icon that follow the breath. That I helps me because it's guided, but I'm so distracted by everything else around me. I'm still aware that I'm in the room and I'm freaking out and what if I need to call an ambulance? I go all haywire. But this this thing that you wear, you can make it totally immersive. So you can basically put yourself on the moon, it feels like. And then you can do these apps that have been designed to be much more interactive and immersive. And I've really find that that's easier.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a meditation app within this
Yes. Yeah.
gadget.
So
Okay.
I'm trying that at the moment and I'm quite enjoying it. It feels like you're escaping yourself. You take yourself somewhere else for 10 minutes. So it's like forcing that meditation time.
Okay.
It definitely isn't for everybody, but I think if you struggle like I do to really like focus and center yourself, I'm finding that
And do
quite
you,
helpful.
do you think it helps detach the mind and the body in a way then because it allows the body to calm down without the craziness of the mind driving thoughts and panicking? I'm not in control. Is that part of
I
it?
find that for me,
Yeah.
it's like pure distraction technique, which is one technique to calm an anxiety disorder. It definitely won't work for everyone because there's different kinds of anxiety. And mine is quite inward, which is the kind that actually this shouldn't particularly benefit. But when I'm having a piece of CBT that I was taught is to distract yourself if you're having a panic attack. So concentrate on something else. Describe the cushion that's next to you. And I would always be like, oh, I know you're telling, I know I need to describe that
I know
cushion.
the theory, but I
Yeah.
can't put it into practice. Yeah.
So this is like ultimate distraction. It just helps to lock into something else. It's really interesting and it's quite fun. So I'm trying to do
You've piqued my interest.
Yeah.
I do love meditation. I actually had Gillian Lavender, who is the founder of London Meditation Centre, who practices and teaches transcendental or Vedic meditation, using a mantra. And I was somebody who could never focus for long enough, and it was just on breath. In a way, the more I focused on my breath, the more panicky and short and raspy it became. So I mean, and maybe it's something to explore. I do think, I mean, I'm definitely somebody who's prone to social anxiety, and I have to say that when I do keep my meditation up, I'm supposed to do it twice a day.
I mean,
I mean, it's like the productivity that you get from doing it twice a day makes it worth the time. And I understand that again in principle, but just somehow that second one in the day just. And I do find that has made all the difference.
That is I mean, I would say that it's not the best advice to rely on something external to yourself.
Sure.
But I think it's, if I found that this is the only thing that works for me, it wouldn't work. So I need to train myself that's really the only solution, isn't it, for real recovering from anxiety. But if something helps just get you over a hump and it's quite enjoyable and trains you to think in a different way or breathe in a different way, which is something I would really need to do, that's the bit that I'm focusing on.
For sure. And I think even just the knowledge that the tool is there in the toolkit in itself can be quite calming, I think. Yeah, I mean, breath work per se, I mean, I think it's one of the most incredible things, to believe that you have all the power within you through breath work to control the way you feel, and to such an extent. I mean, you can feel so incredibly euphoric and calm at the same time through it. And I think when you're an angsty person, I realize that I build a life that keeps me anxious, without even meaning to. So to be able to have a tool like that in the toolkit, and I've got a couple of YouTube videos that I'll tune into that really do bring me back down to earth. It's kind of amazing, the human body, right? Like it's just like what cold water does for the body as well. It's I love it. Do you have anywhere you go to kind of feel better, and sort of kind of the retreats that you've tried over your years as a beauty director?
It varies. I just think there's nothing better for me than a simple full body massage, to be honest, because it's just giving yourself over to someone else. And I have had a lot of those, and I've had them all over the world. I'm very lucky with my experience. But so that is something that I will try and do. That feels like a real luxury. I love, again, distraction, just taking myself on a solo trip to the cinema. I think taking all of the other elements of your life out, even just having someone next to you to talk to or wonder if they're enjoying the film. I like to go on my own sometimes. And again, just immerse myself in that. I have been to an incredible place in Thailand called Kamalaya.
Ooh.
And it's a really interesting wellness retreat, because it's not about, lots of people go there to try and change their eating habits, or to just change the habits that might contribute to their physical self, health, wellness, diet, everything. I went on an embracing change course because I was trying to deal with this negative. I was doing IVF myself at the time, and it wasn't working, and I was like, I've got one chance left. I need to put everything into this. And I need to, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the problem. And because I'm so worried about this not working, maybe I'm the reason that none of these embryos are sticking. So I took myself, and it was really embracing change, because I was terrified to travel to Thailand on my own. And I just threw myself into every activity. I did all sorts of things like, cupping and Japanese acupuncture and all sorts of amazing treatments, and in really interesting hypnotherapy with a monk, I think it was. It was a few years ago. It was incredible. Amazing. I think the thing that changed me the most is that I went snorkeling for the first time, because I would never do it. I was terrified of the sea. And we went out on a boat, and they said, we're going to do snorkeling. It wasn't off the beach. It was in the middle of the sea, off the boat. And my first thought was, no, I'm not doing that. And then I thought, hang on, I'm here to embrace change. So I did it. and it was absolutely miraculous. I feel like that is my favorite thing to do in the world. Like I want to be near the sea, or
Wow.
every opportunity I get. It was really profoundly amazing, and I think it was just that probably was more of a shift for me than all of the crazy treatments I had, because it was about opening my mind to something that I wouldn't have considered before because I was scared of, feeling quite restrictive, and just finding a new love, and also like being in a different world, hearing the world differently and understanding I'm a tiny, tiny little thing just floating on the top of this entire underwater universe, and I can hear these guys down here. It was just amazing. I highly recommend snorkeling.
Wow. Very powerful.
Yeah.
And was that intentional? Did they take, knowing that you
No,
were a little
that was
bit
our
phobic about
down
it?
day of a fun activity out on a boat.
Oh wow,
It
okay.
was
And they didn't realize this was
amazing.
almost existential.
Yeah.
It's an experience.
That was a really
That's
incredible experience. I was very lucky to be able to go on that retreat. It was brilliant.
I'm gonna have to get
Yeah.
the details of that one from you. I think there's something to do with like to getting away somewhere very remote, like off regular time zones and all the rest of it. I definitely find that I unplug the most from work whenever I can. We get up, check emails first thing, and then put the phone away. Otherwise, you sort of stay abreast of what's happening, even if you're just sort of you're not really on calls and stuff. It's very difficult. I mean, you run your own business as well, right? I mean, you know what it's like. It's all consuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said about you sort of choose an anxious state for your life, is that what you said? Whatever you said then, I was like, whoa,
Subconsciously, I think
yes,
you seek out ways to maintain a cortisol or a
yes.
dopamine or whatever your drug of choice is. And that's why I'm not very good at like calm holidays. Like I need active relaxation. I've realized that now. I think you and I are probably wired not dissimilarly from the
Yes, I
sound of
mean, that spoke
things.
to me. That's
Mm.
definitely what I do.
And I mean, the same for me in terms of the whole like public speaking thing.
Mm.
Like I can do it now, I can do it quite well, but I then need to go and retreat into a
Mhm.
dark corner for a couple of hours just to level out.
Decompress.
But it's kind of, it's also wonderful. I like, to do things that scared you. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
public speaking, when I was grew up sort of very shy, like, knew answers to things in school, but didn't necessarily want to put my
Yeah,
hand up. So it's kind of nice to sort of see the journey that you can take yourself on with the sort
absolutely.
of determination.
And to discover that you can do things that you think that you couldn't do, and the
Yeah.
high you get from that
Yeah,
afterwards.
the
Yeah.
euphoria is absolutely right. Yeah, what doesn't kill you, etc. Um, Desert Island product. What would you take to
Oh,
Desert
are
Island?
we,
That
well,
was
oh,
one of the questions that I was DM'd to us, so I have to ask it.
that's a really tough one. I think
I mean, SPF obviously,
it would
but
be,
I mean,
I think it would be hyaluronic serum
yeah.
of some kind, or hyaluronic ingredient in a moisturizer. I really, really noticed the difference in my skin, and I always thought, again, my skin's not particularly dry, and it just needs balance. So I would describe my skin. Everyone says you've got amazing skin, and I think that's really lovely because it looks like I've got I don't have enlarged pores and things like that. I'm very lucky. I don't get too many. I haven't so far, but I'm sure it's going to happen now. Too many lines and wrinkles, but it's just reactive. So if it doesn't like something, it will just go. I'll get cystic spots.
Okay.
Um, and I really notice the difference when I'm not using hyaluronic, if I've run out of it, and it just must be doing something wonderful for my skin barrier.
Interesting.
So
Did you have breakouts when you were
no,
younger? No.
it started when I was about 26,
And
and I
did you have
thought it was.
actual acne, or was it just product related?
I think it was probably hormonal acne, but I mean, you would call it acne because it was more than 3 spots at
Just a
one time.
few spots.
It wasn't
Mhm.
terrible, but it felt terrible.
Terrible for a
But
beauty
yeah,
journalist. I mean, possibly the worst
exactly. And I went to the
affliction,
doctor
really.
for that reason, because I was like, I write about this. I'm like I need to embody what I talk
For
about.
sure.
Um, and I wondered if it was all the products I was trying. My skin was probably freaking out from
I
testing
mean,
things.
yeah, if it's not acne, it's perioral dermatitis. I mean, the number of girls I've seen, it's like basically your job is a hazard.
Mhm. I mean,
You know.
I suffered from perioral dermatitis for the first time after lockdown. And one of the questions that we had was, what is your take on LED masks? I hope I'm not jumping ahead too much here. I want to know what your desert island is. Um, but Yeah, that is the one thing that really helped. I tried so many things, medicated, over the counter, everything, completely going back to basics, and LED mask really, really helped.
Red light
Red light,
presumably.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think what benefits is taking stuff away from putting it on the skin or having a high cosmetic load. I think having multiple products in your skin, even the things that would help. I mean, so often people end up giving steroids by the GP because it gets mistaken for seborrheic eczema around the creases of the nose, which of course is a bit catastrophic because then things get worse. Um, but yeah, I mean, sometimes it is just reducing what people use and it all settles down. And sometimes you have to just completely take the emphasis off creams and give people oral antibiotics, which increasingly I prefer not to. The more I've, been doing these lives and understanding that bit more about the gut microbiome, the more careful I am around prescribing. But sometimes you just need to stage a little intervention and, take the pressure off trying to correct things from the outside in. But it's a really frustrating condition for a lot of people.
Do you notice a kind of increase after lockdown?
So tons of it. I think lockdown really did get people into the habit of using skincare almost as entertainment. I have this thing as, by all means have fun with your makeup when you've sorted your skin out, but skincare should be really simple, rational, almost boring in its kind of, it should serve purpose. Each product should have a purpose, and you should have any kind of fun stuff in there just because you like the smell, or
and there's so many actives now available, and people get really excited by the ingredients and maybe don't know quite how to layer them or use it. But also I feel like that wearing the mask was really like a literal hotbed of I think for me I felt like it was a combination of too much retinol and the mask, and it was just,
well, the mask dramatically changed the microbiome. I mean, I think a lot of people got worsening acne, they got worsening rosacea. It just, humidity and friction, we know that can in itself can cause breakouts in people, cycle straps on the helmet, rucksacks on the back and things. So it just changes the whole balance of the bacteria that are there for a good reason to help maintain a healthy skin barrier and that nice acidic pH. And if you mess that up, then your skincare gets to penetrate more deeply than it's supposed to. And I think that's how it sets up this kind of irritability cycle. But generally speaking, I think it is a skin barrier issue primarily. It starts out because of a breach. And then as we get older, our microbiome changes anyway. So we really want a very wide, diverse microbiome. And it just gets narrower with estrogen going down and the sort of the change in the oil production in the skin. So keeping skincare simple is so important. It really is.
Can I ask what your desert island product is, please? And I'm getting it immediately.
Ooh, mine. Assuming we've got sunscreen sorted and that's a given. I mean, I would get very nervous without a retinoid because I have been acne prone my entire life. And I think I really only started to get a handle on it properly in my early 30s. And that, obviously the brand and everything else was all the education. But I was a junior doctor. I was spot ridden and sleeping terrible hours and worrying about my skin when I was getting cold, like to somebody who was crashing in the middle of the night. And it's like, this is wrong. And then there was the shame that came from worrying about my skin state and my colleagues seeing me at in these kind of dire situations. So that's how much headspace it was taking up for me. And I think I probably will always feel like someone who might break out. So for instance, I was treated to a lovely massage last week and I forgot to tell the lady not to put oils anywhere near my face. The next day, bumps at places my skin had been super clear. So I have to be so vigilant with it. But I found what works for me. And as I say, as long as I have a retinoid in the mix, it behaves itself, mostly these days. So I don't think about my skin too much, but that just brought me back last week. Like, oh my gosh, I can't let it slip for a day. My goodness.
Dreadful.
But, it's okay. You work with what you've got, right?
Well, you can work with what you've got.
Oh, come on, back at you. All right, we are out of time. My goodness, time has flown. We need to do this again. Any last advice? Do you listen to podcasts? Have you got a particular wellness or health orientated podcast you listen to that you'd recommend?
I not wellness or health orientated. I think I use podcasts and books and movies and things as a way to escape. I take myself somewhere else. I like to immerse myself in either a
So do
fiction
I.
or a
I'm
really
exactly the
good
same.
story.
Oh,
That's my way.
really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
that's my well sit down time.
I quite like a wellness podcast in the morning. I find it often gets me in a really good frame of mind. If I've got a busy day, and I quite like Mel Robbins, I will listen to the Diary of a CEO
Mm.
sometimes. But yeah, after hours, something more soothing is better for the senses, I think.
But I
Oh,
know we
Carrie.
don't get a chance to answer too many questions, but we're in the DMs.
Totally.
Any
And
more questions?
we'll definitely come back on and do this again once
Yeah,
autumn comes. But it was a real pleasure to hang out with you. Thank you so much for making a time on such a sticky hot day.
thank you
So
for asking me.
I
It was
really
lovely to see
appreciate
you
it.
again.
Likewise. All right, guys, have a lovely evening. Thanks for joining us. And we'll post this tomorrow on the main grid.
Great.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.